All right, if we're in Canada, we're talking Princess Auto. We're looking at about a 4-year-old Prince Auto metal brake. It's good up to 18 gauge. It's also good up to 36 inches. No, if it's 18 gauge and it's 36 inches, the edges will be super sharp, the middle will be round, it'll deflect. That being said, 99% of the stuff you're going to bend for patching stuff up, this is awesome. I consider this an invaluable tool. Sometimes you just need a cheap brake to bend some pieces up real quick, and if you want them round instead of square, you bend them, buy the shrinker stretcher. And there's the shrinker stretcher. I believe that's the shrinker. I do have the stretcher. I got a bolt in it. I throw it in my vise, and great tool. It's cheap. I love it. They talk about how some of them, the teeth don't quite work. There's videos on how to file them to make them work. Both mine work great. I just picked this up, also Princess Auto. It's a desiccant tube. You put it full of beads, your air goes through it, takes all the water out. I haven't used it yet, but let's face it, it's a simple thing. It's gonna work. I'm not even worried. I'm not gonna question it. Princess Auto bead roller comes with a whole whack of dies. You see people building them and modifying them and do stuff. I just use it the way it is, and I've had no issues. I do like it. If I gotta do a big heavy job, I will use it. These two boxes here have all the dies and everything else, and there's enough there that I can do what I want. Most of the time I throw a washer on it, and I've actually used it to create an edge to bend a curve, and it's pretty great. It's a great tool, worth every penny. So here's some of the cooler stuff. I got a couple of these flange tools, Sun-X, I believe, or something like that. Doesn't matter. Some Ingersoll Rand stuff, body saw, nibbler. There's the nibbler. Look at that, Princess Auto. I've had no issues with mine. It works great. I cut a lot of metal. It's awesome. I love this tool. And I mean, people talk about cutting a straight line and difficulties. If you want to cut a straight line with a nibbler like this, put your piece of metal down, run a straight edge on it, clamp it on, set it where you need it to be against the metal, and away you go. This is a great tool to cut a big chunk of metal quick. We love that tool. Now this isn't the best in the world, but here's a air needle scaler from ProPoint. That came from Princess Auto. Don't know who ProPoint is, but honestly, takes the big heavy scale off pretty quickly. I like that tool. You can play with it and kind of set the depth and stuff a little bit. Once you've figured it out, which will take you 5-10 minutes, great tool. One of my favorite pieces, the English wheel. This is the big one. You can get a small one that clamps into a vise. It has smaller wheels, probably for less weight. I don't know how that is, but this is the big one, $300, $400, $500. I don't know what they're going for now. Very cool. Use it a lot. I'll show you what's not right with it. See that little gap? To correct that, you'd come in here and you'd file some of this out. And just file a little bit at a time until the two flat ones touch perfectly. That being said, I've owned this for 3-4 years, probably about 4 years now. I've done a lot of panels with this, works just fine because you never use the flat die anyway. You're going to use one like this. You can see how it's got a nice round to it, nice curve. So your curve is coming up into the middle, and that's all you need it to do. The reason I had this flat one in, this side's nice and tight. I had a panel recently with a bend in it. It had some hammer marks in it. Actually, the panels are right here. I made these panels, these new skins for the bottom of this trunklet. So to get the little hammer marks and little dings, and I basically ran it through here 2-3 times. Now, people say that you use this for making panels and putting curves in panels. I've done that, but that's not the main use. The main use for this, anything I beat with a hammer on a chunk of wood like so, I make my own panels, I put shape in them, I bend them, I use my shrinker stretcher. Once it fits the car and it's got little hammer marks and so on, I use this to smooth it out. That's 90% of what I use this for. It's worth every penny. I absolutely love this tool. Takes up room, don't care, love it, can't live without it. This used to be sold as a bumper storage rack. It is now advertised as a paint drying rack, and I think the reason why they changed that description is because I bought this with a purpose in mind. I had a bunch of contractor caps to do for an electric company as they were getting all new trucks. So we were retrofitting the caps, the construction caps off the back of the truck, and we were repainting them to the new color and putting them on the trucks. I probably got videos of that somewhere. They got these 7-foot doors down the 8-foot cap. They kind of go down each side and they flip up. I can put one on this side, one on this side. I can do all my work on it. I can do anything I need on it. I roll it into the booth. I paint it right on there. It sits on this rack to dry. These are great. Comes with all these foams. Now mine are a weird size because you can see I've got 4 of these adjustable arms. The reason I got 4, 90% of the time you only need the 2. And then let's say I got a tailgate or something. When I want to take stuff out of the booth and off other racks, I can bring up the 2 bottom ones, slide a gate in there, roll it out of the booth to get it all out of my way. To store it, I basically let these all fall down. And then what I do is I'll roll it beside or behind or whatever car, and I just slide these right under and it's out of the way. So this paint drying rack, as it's called now, is awesome. It also comes with arms that are the same size as those down there instead of these, and then shorter and shorter and so on, and there's a bunch of accessories that hang off it. There's also, against the wall, you'll see that piece there. So that goes on top, doubles its height, and the nice thing about that, the next tube up, you can run little wires off it and you can hang all kinds of pieces and parts if you're into, say, motorcycle painting where you've got all the little brackets and plastics. I love this tool. It's got really good casters. They seem to be good quality. There's brakes on 2. I put them crisscross from each other. It works great. It doesn't move. I really, really like this tool. The rotating body panel something something rack. Ooh. Looks really cool when you look at it online. Let's start with the good. It has a real simple setup with teeth here. You pull this pin, you step on this, and this is what it does. You can put it in here. And then you can have a panel on here. Imagine having a panel on there. You can flip it up to work on it. You can turn it upside down to work on it. You go to paint it, you can orient it close to what it's going to be on the car. Ooh, and then you paint it, like say a hood or a trunk lid. I have no idea how they expect you to mount stuff on here and move it around as such without damaging things. This, I looked at it and I questioned it, and I got a friend who'd come help me out once in a while, and he kept saying, you got to get that, you got to get that. And I ordered it the same day I ordered that. Now, I talked about a contractor cap and doing the doors. When I saw that, I knew that I could use that for that. So I knew if I only used it for those jobs, I could throw it in my other shop or in the shed and dig it out when I need it. Honestly, I use it all the time, and it hasn't been in the way. When it is in the way, I roll it outside. I bring it in later, but honestly, it's never really in the way. I mean, it's right there right now, and it's still not in my way. This thing, I've used it once for one thing, and I mean, I could have used many ways to do what I did. The only thing I've ever used it for is these black hinges in here. You had to rebuild one of those. We cleaned them up and painted them. And I basically hung them up here and there's paint here or whatever. Anyway, I'm not returning it. I'm not going to mess around. I've had it for a long time. But what I'm saying is this is a useless item. I'm trying to speak well. Don't buy this. It's a waste of your money. Now, I did go on Princess Auto, and I wanted to see if they still had this. I was curious. Well, lo and behold, it says clearance, and I can't remember the price, but yeah, they were super cheap. And I have a feeling when they sell these out, this will no longer be an item. And there's already a different panel rotating assembly in stock that came up right below it. So they obviously realized that this would suck, and they've replaced it with something that may be better. And I'm not knocking Princess Auto because they made this one bizarre tool. Somewhere someone designed this for something and thought it would be good. It sucks. You can't wheel it around in every direction, right? 2 wheels, none over there, which means you got to drag it, which is weird. It's not heavy though. I mean, if your floor is smooth and dusty, look at that, no big deal. Even with something on it, you could probably handle it. You're getting a lot of material for the price. And I'm not saying it's strong, but it ain't weak, right? Like, look at the thickness of the tube. This just rotates. Oh, here's the other thing. When it's locked, look at all the deflection you got. Yeah, it's really a hokey thing. These locks just clamp this way. It will hold it from going up and down, but not from going side to side. But I think that's a little intentional, as they probably figured if you're trying to line up weird little holes. But here's the reality. Let's say this trunk lid right here. Where are you going to put those hooks? Now I'm going to guess, oh, put 2 in those holes for the bolts. And now there's plates in there that shake and move around. If you put something in here, now this has this stuff. Cadillacs have a weird trunk lid, but granted, any vehicles, if you go into a hole that's here or something, if you don't clamp this in somehow, some good way, and it pops, this is going to knock a dent up in your lid. This is just not good. If you're going to buy this for the price I think I paid like 100, maybe 150 for this. They got nice little work stands, which I wish I would have known of. They're made out of metal and they're painted. They're probably lightweight, but they're the little foldable ones. They got them right now for 50 bucks. You can buy 3 of those for the price of this. I'd recommend that. Normally those little work stands, they're aluminum or galvanized, and when you buy them from other companies, they're anywhere from 100 to 200 bucks a piece. Harbor Freight has a cheapy version. It says 500 pounds, which is what all of them are rated at, so I'd buy a few of those. This is just a waste. We're going to cut this up. We're going to make our own, what we call a body shop Christmas tree, which is basically a stand, and you can clamp a bunch of arms on it. Basically, you can hang a door off it so you can go behind and paint both sides. We're going to use these arms for all that. Now, it did come, you see these 4 long arms. There's also some mediums and some shorts. There's actually a lot of arms and junk that hangs off this. And then there's a tray down there to put all those parts in. But we knew it would end up in the paint booth, and the tray's going to be full of dust, so we didn't put it on. That being said, big waste of my time. But yeah, we'll turn it into something else and it'll be fine. So I'm not knocking Princess Auto. I'm not saying that they do bad stuff. I think that for hard parts, as I call it, basic tools, hammers, pry bars, even an English wheel, is this precise enough to do super high-end aluminum work? No, probably not. Could you machine it and make it do it? Absolutely. But if you're working on 60s and 70s hot rods, muscle cars, 2000 Chevy trucks, whatever you're doing, awesome tool. The bender way down there, pretty good tool. It won't do everything, but it'll do most of the stuff most people need. This right here, awesome tool. All the stuff I showed you in my toolbox, I've had no complaints, no issues with any of the tools. Sometimes they're a little bit hokey. That being said, if they work, they're good. Who cares? It works, right? But this is just don't buy this one. It's kind of junk. You'll waste your money. You'll be happy if you don't buy this. Anyway, so if you got a Princess Auto near you and you buy a lot of stuff, it gives you some idea. They do make really cool stuff. I don't know how they're related. They used to be part of the whole Harbor Freight thing. I've heard that separated now. a lot of the things are the same, but just painted a different color. But I didn't see this at Harbor Freight. This is definitely there. And that bender, I had one from Harbor Freight, and it was identical, except it was red with black plastic instead of yellow. So they make good stuff. I got no issue buying their stuff. I will still buy their stuff. Where I live, I'm 2 hours away from a major city or the nearest Princess Auto. A lot of stuff they'll ship to me, and sometimes it's a fee, but the fees are cheap. You know, so they do make stuff that works. Here's a welding cart that you got to assemble yourself. Came from Princess Auto. I forgot about that till just now. It's black, it's got wheels, it's simple. It's not fancy, it's not amazing, but it was dirt cheap. And the cool thing, it was like 50 some dollars, maybe $59.99, and it cost me like 20 bucks to have it shipped home. I had to spend 50 bucks in gas. I had it shipped here, it showed up like 2 days later. I built it in about an hour. My welder's been on it ever since. And I mean, it's great when you buy a welder, you know, there's all those videos where just build a cart. Well, I was going to do that. You know what? I got busy and I didn't have time to do that. So I got this cart. The cart works great. It's not wobbly. It's not weird. It's got these great big oversized hooks. And I saw a couple videos where someone said, oh, the hooks don't even need to be that big. That's crazy. Well, I'm kind of glad they're that big because I got all these. Look, these are wrapped up and hanging here. Got magnets all over it. All my clamps and vice grips. Some stuff in there. Welding rods. And basically I have this extension cord. Right, so I can plug that into that, and I got one on the opposite side of the shop, and this is about 15 or 20 feet, whatever it is. I think it's a 20-foot cord. I can pretty much get around my 44 by 32 shop with it. So yeah, is it the best, most amazing cart? Not really. The handle's in a bizarre place, and it's got this little bracket, but once I threw my welder in it, I thought, well, it protects the on-off switch, so you know, I can walk up to it. It's a nice height. I can grab it. I can drag it around the shop. Really cool cart. Water separator from Harbor Freight. There's a bunch of the arms for the one rack. There's some of the square stuff for the other rack, I guess. There's a bunch of that somewhere in a box. But anyway, you get the idea. So they make some good stuff, as far as I'm concerned. Don't buy this. Hope this video was helpful. Cheers.